Hey, what's up, YouTube? My name is Artur. I'm a founder of Osmium. We do software engineering and QA services. We basically are one of the best on the QA market. And today I wanted to speak with you to share my experience from our projects, from more than 10 years of my experience in IT sphere. So just wanted to share my experience with you, startup owners. There's a lot of mistakes when it comes to startups, much more than when we are working with some middle-sized companies. So let's go through most relevant, most frequent problems that you might have, and especially in startup. Even in my business, sometimes what I do is reality checks and trying to ask myself if I'm doing something wrong. So basically, this is the video for you to check if something is wrong. Just trying to save you guys from most common mistakes that you can do while doing your own startup. Let's go. Right. So let's begin from the first one, which is do it yourself. It's a great technique, great term that works for the real life and for maybe some hobbies. Personally, myself, I'm doing a lot of stuff by myself. I like working with wood. But in business, there are certain things that you can do and certain things that you cannot do by yourself. For example, you can easily do strategy planning, and that's what you should do as a business owner in startup, in any other business. And if we're talking about, for example, routine tasks like controlling software development process, controlling UI design, maybe creating a documentation, maybe that's not the best thing to do. It's really hard to maintain um, control over the business itself, the sales. And at the same time, will need to control the software development process, which is totally different thing. And of course, they are connected between each other, but controlling and managing software development process is a tricky thing, you know. It's really different than so you will need to have two heads on your shoulders. One head would be for business, second head would be for uh, software development, which is impossible. But if you have the separate person, you will be able to manage that really good. So I strongly recommend working with professionals or having someone in your team that will be able to professionally get this part of business and control it and maintain the quality there. So the second one would be having a full-time employee in-house. And that's not a mistake by itself, right? So if you can control it, if you have a CTO, if you have a technical unit in your startup, which is usually not the case most of the times. Maybe someone have a CTO, which is quite a developer. Sometimes they are really great at this, but most of the times, such companies like small companies, startups, they don't have really this kind of ability to control this person. And what happens here is the person is hired for full time. And what startup is trying to do by hiring this person full time is actually trying to lower the expenses on the development. And that's totally understandable because if you have someone in house and want to give him a workload of, for example, 50 or 60 dollars per week, you will be able to load him with this work and he will work depending on your contract and stuff like that. But there is a problem here. The most problematic part of this type of engagement is that you cannot really control this person if he works full time, if he works full hours, and if he's not overcharging you because you don't have really this infrastructure. What you use You don't have any technical specialists, team leads, and people like that to be able to control if he's doing a good job actually. So the only thing you will be able to see is the results, but results sometimes there are cases that one engineer can do work 3 times faster than other engineer, and that's something that usually happens in the market. We had such situations on the latest project. So we had like DevOps that did his job 3 times faster than the whole team from the other company. I'm not trying to say that they are worse than us, but that's what may happen, right? If you don't have this controlling unit inside of your own company, inside of your startup, you cannot control and be able to understand if this engineer is doing good work for its money, right? So the least thing you can do is ask for independent review, and that would be the least cost for you. But usually in those types of cases, it's much better to just hire another company for doing that. And trust me, you will not save any money in the end. Of course, you can try, but it's been, I've seen a lot of cases, and I'm working more than 10 years on the market. That's what I do all my life, basically, all my career. And it never works. It just never works. If you want to be able to control these IT specialists, you need to have someone who is proficient in IT field, in software engineer. And that's the only thing that it works, how it works. Yeah. Yeah, so let's continue with the next one. The next one is not having a quality assurance engineer in your team, and that's going to be my favorite because we are working with quality assurance for a long time. That's something I know the best, uh, even as an entrepreneur and on a professional level. Quality assurance is always the main point for me personally because I like to have products with a good quality that are not lagging, that are not crashing, that have no critical issues, and you can work smoothly. That's something that differs, for example, Apple products, right? When you're working with Apple product, MacBook or iPhone, they have a great optimization. They have a great quality of their products, and that's something that happened not just because the genius strategy of Steve Jobs, but also with help of quality assurance engineers that are maintaining a certain level of quality. And if you're speaking about like products like MacBook and the iPhone, and the first thing that comes to our mind is would be like design and the innovation, and the next thing that would come is the quality of the product, right? So if you want to be special, if you want to be good enough for the market, to fit in among the competitors, you will not be able to do that if you don't have quality assurance engineers, right? So that's something you should do first of all. It's never too early to add a QA to your team because the earlier you will add a QA to your team means you will avoid a lot more uh, expenses of your startup, right? So if the problem will be identified earlier, you will spend much less money than you would spend if it would be identified during the release, for example. So QA is a no-brainer. I can tell you more about it if you want, but for now, let's keep it simple. QA means saving money. Yeah. So let's talk about freelancers. Personally, myself, I really like freelancers, and that's something that I would use, especially for like maybe lead generation or maybe UI UX design. activities. But when it comes to software development, it's a bit more complex, you know, because when you're doing a software product, it's really complicated. It needs certain level of quality, and customers on the market cannot even rate those freelancers correctly. You know, they put in 5-star reviews just based on what result did they achieve, and they almost never know that what's happening under the hood. So they may been delivered a Ferrari from the outside, but inside it's a Fiat, or like Toyota Prius from the inside, and they would never know until they will need to support it. So reviews of freelancers is something that you should be careful about. And the other thing about freelancers is the responsibility. When something happens on your project with freelancer, the responsibility is quite low, because okay, you will write something to Upwork support, and maybe they will even give you money back, no questions. But still, in the end, you will lose a lot of time, and this code will be not useful. And time is the most valuable material for yourself. You can just rely on these ratings, but nothing else. You cannot rely on anything else, because it's just one person. He will try to deliver, but what happens if you don't? Right? If we're talking about companies, if you're talking about companies, software companies, uh, there's not actually a huge difference between in the prices, right? Because these guys uh, are charging like 35 to $50 per hour, and the Eastern European countries software engineer companies are charging pretty much the same. But the difference is they have this responsibility, and it's much more painful to receive a 1-star review for this company than for some freelancer. He will just create another account and for company, it's total different story. If we will fuck something up, we are dead as a business. So that means that we will try our best and do our best to deliver the highest level of quality. And company is taking all the risks, responsibility, and will manage any problem that you may have with this person. And pretty much for the same price. And the last one would be about documentation. I hope you are not too tired from watching me. Yeah, well, I'm not the best speaker on the YouTube, obviously, but I hope you have some interest left in yourself. So let's talk about documentation. Documentation is something that every project should have. As a previously product manager, I worked a lot of times with documentation, and sometimes I even worked without documentation. In these cases, I've created documentation by myself to at least have some understanding and points of touch with other team members. Because if you don't have anything in written format, if you don't have any documentation, it's a huge problem. It's a huge pain in the ass. So if you don't have it written, you may expect that you will have a lot of work redone, and you will not have any structurized approach to your software development, to your startup. And that's just, I don't know. I'm speaking about such obvious things, right? For me, it's really obvious, but maybe not for you. So uh, let me try to explain it with really simple words. So if you don't have any documentation, first of all, you will spend a lot of money by explaining everything multiple times. Second, you will not be able to always answer the same questions the same way, right? And the third one, the human factor, and some people understand people one way, and some people understand the requirement the other way. And if you have this verbal requirement happening, so documentation is something that prevents us from having a lot of risks, that helps us to be on the same page, and that's why you should use it definitely. And that was 5 most common mistakes from the startups that they are doing. If you want to see more videos like this, please support me and leave a like or comment under this video. If you have more questions, please leave them below, and hope to see you soon.